You're listening to Experience Imagination, a themed entertainment design podcast presented by Falcon's Creative Group. Every episode, we discuss a new topic with a panel of creative professionals. Hi, I'm Cecil McPuri, President and Chief Creative Officer of Falcons.
Hello, everyone. Audrey DeLong here. Thanks for checking out this episode of the show. Last September, ahead of Synapse Orlando 2022, we released an episode of our podcast called Building a Culture of Innovation, which spotlighted the amazing entrepreneurial growth in Florida and why Orlando in particular has such a bright future when it comes to growth in technology. Two of our guests on that episode, Brian Kornfeld and Lauren Prager, talked to me about Synapse Florida and how this nonprofit connects entrepreneurs, investors, and other stakeholders to accelerate success in Florida's thriving economies. This episode is a continuation of that topic because Synapse Summit was recently held in Tampa. This large event features hundreds of exhibitors and speakers. It's really an impressive gathering. I had a chance to attend, so I spoke with a few of those fantastic exhibitors who did a great job of telling me about their company's missions, goals, and success stories. We're going to share those interviews in just a bit, but first we wanted to tee things up by revisiting a few highlights from last year's interview with Brian and Lauren. We hope you enjoy hearing from everyone. It's time to welcome Brian Kornfeld, the CEO and co-founder of Synapse Florida, along with his Chief Strategy Officer, Lauren Prager. Thanks for being here.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, so before we get into Synapse's history, let's talk about the culture of innovation across the state of Florida.
Florida has a really long and rich history of innovation. There is technology and creativity and inspiration really from coast to coast in every aspect of our state. And what's really been interesting as Synapse has gotten a chance to connect with communities all across the state of Florida is the consistent collaboration and the desire to really enable each other to succeed. Innovation is a team sport. And you can only succeed when you've got the players working alongside of you to help you through this process. And what's been really exciting is to see how that has blossomed and now is being recognized internationally by people who are paying more attention to Florida. So all of us who have been working behind the scenes really for decades now are getting the recognition, the notice. People are seeing what we are all capable of. And I think it's interesting, speaking with you all and the work that happens at Falcons Beyond, so much is behind the scenes. And now, in the roles that you're taking, the work that you're doing on the global scene, it's a great example of the history of innovation now finally being able to be recognized and out in front and part of the headlines.
That's a really great way to put it. It's. I like how you say innovation is collaborative, and it shouldn't be a race to just see who finishes first. And that's how we work internally too at Falcons. Obviously, to continue topping ourselves is really we're our biggest competitor in that area. Brian, did you have anything to add to that?
There are so many groups around the state that are trying to find everybody who wants to be a part and to welcome them in and with open arms and to say, how can we help? Some of this might have spurred a little bit from Mayor Suarez in Miami and his famous response of a company saying, I'm thinking about moving to Miami. And his response was, how can I help? And that just really helps to spur people along and propel them to the next level.
I love that. And I think it probably plays into Synapse Florida's culture as well. So let's talk about that. How did you start Synapse and why?
Going back into 2016 and 2017, the communities around Florida were so fragmented, were so disconnected. The companies that were here that had been growing for a long time were not getting engaged with the local communities. Education was lacking. There was just no place for talent to go. And it was leading to problems of groups, these companies that were all just trying to leave the state. The talent was flocking to California and to Chicago and to New York because that's where they thought they had to go to get good jobs. And so Synapse was brought together in a grassroots effort by a couple of people who said, we want to solve this problem. We don't want to do this for us. We want to give back to the community and create this nonprofit that will be here to help to connect the community, that will help to organize the community, and that will really help to celebrate the community And by bringing everybody together, we really push towards our vision of making Florida the world's next great innovation community, and we're well on our way towards that.
Now I want to get into talking about the events that Synapse hosts. Tell us about those.
We believe really strongly in the sanctity of space, of getting people together. We've seen now what it means to be in a fully virtual world, and there's certainly a different experience when you lock eyes with other people, you share a coffee or a drink with other people, you're in a shared space with that person, you show up. And the power of showing up is so important. When we hosted the first Synapse Summit back in 2018, we expected maybe 1,000 people to show up, and 3,500 people showed up. And we thought maybe 50 companies would come to exhibit and share what they're working on, and 250 companies came to exhibit. And, we were blown away by the response of the community. And we continue to hear from people who said, I chose to move to Florida because the density of opportunity and the creative people that I got to interact with at these events. And that's why we do them.
So Brian, tell me, can anyone attend a Synapse event?
We want to welcome and open the doors to anybody who wants to buy a ticket. We do things like student scholarships or scholarship exhibitor tables to make sure that price is not a barrier, because that's such an important thing for people who may just be getting this first opportunity or who might be still learning and working off of a very limited budget. We want them to be able to come and to be a part of this community as well. And that's a part of that value of being community first and being willing to open the doors to the masses.
We offer, through generous support of the community, student scholarships as well as scholarships for active duty and veterans and first responders. So this is an opportunity to learn and be exposed to what innovation is and really what's going on in your own backyard.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do. And it's been fascinating to just listen to you two talk about Synapse and the growth of Orlando and Florida in general. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having us. Thank you for being part and giving back to the community through the work that you've done the last 20 plus years building Falcons Beyond in Orlando. You are a perfect example of the innovation that's been creating the foundation.
Well, thank you for saying that. All right, I'm on the floor here at Synapse Summit 2023 in Tampa. And I'm here with two beautiful ladies from Orlando Economic Partnership. We have Kristen Cowman and Lindsay Murphy. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
The Meta Center. Let's talk about that. How was the term Meta Center coined and why?
What really happened is our CIO, David Adelson, he was able to kind of take a step back and acknowledge everything that was happening here in Orlando. And all of that now is considered metaverse technology. So all of that technology is being built for the metaverse, and that's all happening right in Orlando. So that being said, we spoke with a chief metaverse officer, Kathy Hackle, and she was able to contribute to coining Orlando the Meta Center by acknowledging all the incredible technology and emerging technology and innovation that's happening. So the Meta Center is made up of all the companies that are in Orlando and all the companies that are coming to be a part of what's happening in Orlando. When you're in Orlando, you are in the Meta Center. You are surrounded by that emerging technology and innovation that's taking place.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but part of your job is attracting new companies or existing companies to build a headquarters here?
Yes, absolutely. Part of my job and my partner Lindsay's job is going to these cities and identifying those companies that fall within the niche market of the metaverse and helping them, whether it be expand or relocate their headquarters right here in Orlando. We have the top talent coming out of our universities in the country, rated number 1 from the Princeton Review. Was it 4 years?
Since 2020. Every year, we're identified as the top gaming design program coming out of UCF in the world, and really the top pedigree of professors who teach in those programs.
So have you seen, just in the past year, have you seen a lot of companies taking that leap and moving to Orlando?
Absolutely. Lindsay has definitely been working with a ton of companies from the West Coast, one of them being Verse. And they are now working out of the accelerator space in Lake Nona. And we're working with companies from West Coast, Seattle, San Francisco, Canada, Argentina, Miami, Istanbul, all over the world, really that are recognizing the amount of impact that Orlando specifically is having on this metaverse technology. And they're coming to be a part of that for reasons such as talent, cost of living, climate, like all of those things kind of come together, and they realize that Orlando is one of the next big hotspots for this type of technology.
I think one of the things that makes us really unique, or is kind of that extra secret sauce that we have, is our community of collaboration and support. So there are so many programs, whether it be to help startups, small businesses, all the way to enterprise companies. The Orlando Economic Partnership is the original kind of that connector to help bridge people to the right pathways, saves you a lot of time, gives you the greatest value add for where you're at and what your goals are. Because of our tourism industry and the number of people moving to Orlando, we really will be very lucky to be very minimally impacted by this recession that so many other people are going to feel. So we're at this great place where moving forward for the next few months, you now will have a safe place to find refuge during a really scary time of where you just kind of don't know, what's going to happen. And we hope to just be able to be a support and a stable community while people just navigate through the next few months.
So when we talk to people about metaverse, it seems like it's a foreign concept to some people. So if you were to distill it down, like in simple terms, how would you define metaverse?
I would say that the metaverse doesn't exist yet, but the pieces of it are being built, and it will eventually become what we currently call the internet. It's about taking certain technologies like AR, VR, gaming, 3D simulation, even optics and photonics, crypto, etc. And this will help with efficiency, productivity, cost savings. And so I think to think about it in a way of how the technology is used and all the different benefits that it will have, whether it be artificial intelligence in healthcare, gaming for therapy, 3D simulation for our Department of Defense, and really a way to connect people like we've just never experienced. Over the next couple years, there's going to be some really exciting announcements and evolutions and partnerships, and you will have to stay tuned because whether it's the end of this year when we have a conference in Orlando or it's a year from today and it's Synapse Tampa again, we're going to look back and be like, look at all the things that have now happened in the last 8 to 12 months, and it'll be really exciting. So stay tuned.
Well, we definitely will, and I want to thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, I'm here with Ray Kallmeyer of Verse Orlando. Hello.
Hi, nice to be here. Great to see you.
So Verse Orlando, tell us about that. I'm looking at a really cool rendering of a building. What's that about?
So Verse Orlando is the world's first holographic theater. It's a new format that involves augmented reality glasses, and it's popping up in Lake Nona this spring.
Are there any other locations?
Absolutely. So we launched this about 12 months ago in San Francisco. We still have that installation. We also have one in Chicago. So this will be our third, and then right after Orlando, we're opening up in El Salvador.
Tell us about the content when people put on these goggles. What are they seeing?
So it's somewhere in between a video game and a movie. We really like blurring the lines between cinematics and first-person experience.
Who creates that content?
So we have internal creators, experts in their field that comes from the games industry and experience. It's kind of like an escape room mixed with an art gallery.
How many people work for Verse Orlando?
Verse Orlando, we're still getting off the ground, but there's going to be about 10 full-time staff when we're up and running. The model is very staff light. All the magic happens in the holograms.
How long did it take to get to this point? Tell us about the journey.
Well, yeah, I could go back all the way to when I started the company or when I started coding when I was 7 years old. But Orlando, actually, I met the partner and investor that we got off the ground with about 7 months ago in Miami at a conference called the All In Summit. He saw the tech and said, we got to bring this to Orlando. We started talking specifically about what it would look like. We had a deal signed in December. I moved myself and my fiance in a car from Chicago down here. We drove from Chicago down to Orlando. It was like seeing fall in reverse.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about Synapse Summit. What brings you here?
Well, so one of the things we're most excited about in Orlando is being a part of this emerging ecosystem that the city and the Economic Development Forum have created. The city, the center of the metaverse, the Meta Center.
Would you say there's like something similar to this already in Orlando?
There's a lot of VR arcades out there, and there's a lot of kind of projected experiences where they're using really amazing projection mapping on the walls, and there's even some augmented reality glasses that kind of give you a 3D experience, but there's nothing quite like Verse Orlando. We're using the most advanced holographic rendering devices with software that is also used by NASA and surgeons. It's really cutting edge of technology.
So how did you even come up with this concept to begin with?
A crazy journey. So I came from the games industry, and in 2016 we started working with companies like Tesla and Mercedes-Benz to really find the forefront of innovation. And then in 2019 we had a clear idea of what our model was. We raised a seed funding round, and it's been up and to the right since.
Well, I appreciate your time, Ray. Thank you.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Okay, I'm here with Walina Long. She is with Blackson Technology. Hi, Walina.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Tell us what Blackson Technology does.
Blackson Technology is kind of a networking group. We're a 501c3 company. We're global. We're not just here in the United States. And founded in the early 2000s. And we provide resources to underrepresented groups, from technical training where you can get certified in let's say AWS or Linux or something of that nature. We partner with other businesses. We collaborate with other businesses to bring awareness to the technology space. We provide career coaching. We provide, in-person networking. We provide events, obviously, virtual and in-person as well.
And how do people generally find you?
Typically, we have an online presence. Typically, it's also word of mouth. We post events just like everyone else would on various channels. So either it's word of mouth or you may see something from us online.
And the person seeking, like, say, career guidance, is it free to them?
Yes.
And so how do we find you online if somebody wants to donate to your cause?
You can go to blackstontechnology.net and you can donate funds there as well.
And do corporations or organizations or schools, do they donate to your cause?
Yes, of course. Of course. We've got partnerships. In fact, we just talked to someone here that wants to have us come and speak to their high school for, as I like to call it, career readiness, what's available in the tech space that high schoolers don't really know, right? We're at that age, you're not really focused on your career trajectory and all of those things. So it's good to provide that insight and awareness of what's possible for your future.
That was my next question, because a lot of young people, they're still trying to figure it out, right, when they're in high school. So do you come across that? Like, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I like video games.
Absolutely. And that's where we get to come in and provide it's almost like a re-steering, right, where we're able to say, hey, this could be your trajectory, but let's show you some other options. You don't just have to do the traditional maybe even go to college and do the thing. You can actually self-teach yourself to be a coder or an engineer and still provide a great living for yourself in the technical space as well. And nowadays you can make money playing video games, so there's that.
That is very true. Yeah, they're like, how do I get into that, right?
Yes, exactly.
So Synapse Summit in Tampa here, what makes this such a great platform for your message?
It's, again, back to the awareness piece, right? You see that there's probably several hundreds of people that are going to come to this event today alone, right? And this provides an awareness around what it is that Blackson Technology is doing, how they can support it, how people can become members, and move the needle forward.
Excellent. Well, Walina, thank you so much for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, we are here with Court Heitman. He's with Red House Streaming, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what Red House Streaming is all about. Court, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Audrey. Red House Streaming is a production arm of CP Communications. We do video productions. We've also launched RHS TV. RHS TV is a what we call Connecting Tampa Bay. It's a Tampa Bay-based streaming channel and app. You can find us at rhstv.com. It's a social responsible approach to media and community engagement.
All right, so tell us about the various programs that people can tune into.
Right, so we have 3 linear channels. That's a scheduled channel on the app. RHS TV is the main channel, which incorporates local community collaborative videos that are sent to us. Also has a highlights of our other 2 channels, which is Serena Fazan Network. She's a local media host, has been here for a long time in the area. And she does a lot of nonprofit organizations, bringing awareness to nonprofits. So that's a lot about with the hurricanes. We talk about that. And Serena Fazan has 3 different shows on the record. Love in America and Dating in America, which is kind of a lighter side of things. And then she also co-hosts with J.P. Peterson a show called Lighter Side of Sports. And Lighter Side of Sports is exactly what it is. They just make fun of a lot of things. They'll talk about the best dressed man in hockey or the best dressed man in sports, so it's the lighter side of sports. So it's fun, it's engaging. And what's really most important to me as the CEO of the company is YNN, Youth News Network. Youth News Network is a 13 to 23-year-old demographic. It's for Gen Z, produced by Gen Z, for Gen Z. And it talks about all the different topics that are relevant and important to Gen Z right now, whether that's mental health, whether that's drug awareness, whether that's bullying, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, and the entire RHS TV is a topic-driven streaming network. So you go there, you can find out about caregiving, again, mental health, you can find out about sports, you can find out about legislation. So it's all, really, again, connecting Tampa Bay.
Why did you decide to exhibit at this Synapse Summit?
We approached Synapse and wanted to do something about, again, Tampa Bay. And this is a very, very important summit that they have here. It's all of these new tech companies and they're all in the area, whether it's from Orlando on over, right? So, again, we wanted to be a part of Synapse to spread the word that it's such a great awareness of companies that are out there doing really cool things. So, again, we're a platform, we're giving them a voice to tell us what's important to them.
It is a very important thing to reach that audience, and the way you're doing it is fantastic. I applaud you for that, and I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Audrey.
I'm here with Edgar O'Neill, who's with Cade Museum for Creativity and Invention. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to talk to you on the cold Synapse floor here. So tell us what you're doing here today and what the museum's mission is.
Absolutely. So I'm here with the Cade Museum for Creativity and Invention, and we're here at Synapse to kind of just promote what we want to send out into communities, which we want to inspire and equip future inventors, visionaries, entrepreneurs, and have them be the best that they can be in the fields that they choose to occupy.
How long has Cade Museum been around?
So the Cade Museum has been open since 2018, but we've been running programs longer since about 2010.
What's some of the background of Cade Museum?
So we get our namesake from Dr. Robert Cade, James Robert Cade, who was the lead inventor of Gatorade. We are not affiliated with UF, but we do focus on inventors and the path that they took to get to their final product.
So tell me about this Cade Prize. I'm looking at a brochure right now. What is that about?
So Cade Prize is really exciting. It is a competition that's been running since before even the museum opened. It's been running since 2010. And so it's for early stage pre-seed companies with really just an idea. We recommend that applicants have a patent, but that is not a requirement. We really care that the idea is strong and innovative.
Who judges the applicants for Cade Prize?
So for judging, we always try to get the best of individuals in their field.
What kind of fields are affiliated the most with the Cade Museum?
We get a lot of applications in agriculture, IT tech, biomedical, and then for the prize, we do also have a wild card category where any applicant can apply.
So let's talk about the museum itself. Are there temporary exhibitions there, or are they permanent?
We do have temporary exhibits coming through. Our only permanent exhibit is the Sweat Solution, which is a love letter to Dr. Cade.
Is there activity around that, let's just say?
That exhibit is actually very interactive. You can test your reflexes. We also have a helmet test because Dr. Cade did test helmets in his lab. And so if you want to bash a helmet, that's something to check out.
That sounds like a lot of fun. All right, well, definitely check out the Cade Museum for Creativity and Invention. Edgar, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for talking with me.
I'd like to once again thank Brian Kornfeld, CEO and co-founder of Synapse Florida, and Lauren Prager, Chief Strategy Officer for Synapse. And a sincere thank you to all the guests who generously shared a few valuable moments with me on the floor at Synapse Summit. That would be two of Orlando's best Meta Center ambassadors, Lindsay Murphy and Kristen Kalman, both from Orlando Economic Partnership, Ray Kohlmeyer, who spoke about Verse Orlando, Walina Long, representing Blacks in Technology, Court Heitman from Red House Streaming, and Edgar O'Neill from Cade Museum for Creativity and Invention. Well, everybody, that wraps it up for now. We appreciate you listening. Please join us again next time.
Thank you for listening to Experience Imagination, a Falcons Creative Group production. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your friends. To keep up with our latest news, visit us on the web at falconscreativegroup.com and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, please email us at podcast@falconscreativegroup.com.